Alright, and now let's finish this off. Versus Rival.
Douche.
Yes. I didn't think you'd make it this far. Come on, let's settle this now.
Yes, not silver.
I actually really like this theme for that's playing right now. Really good. Yes, Dad, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was just hoping that there wasn't more dialogue, so I didn't want to ask the question before it happened.
Go on.
All right, so what was the original? Did the original Gold and Silver establish that Silver was Giovanni's son, or was that?
No, that was later. That was later.
Okay. I just wanted to know.
All right.
That would make him Ash's brother.
You just get on my nerves. I'll whip you right now. Alright, so he has a Mewtwo, a Ho-Ho, and a Lugia, and that's it.
Tobias.
Yeah.
Alright.
Keep saying, hey, you know what? The Pokemon game should take more from some of the spin-offs. Well,
Alright.
there you go.
I love Ted's introduction to the rival. Listen to this.
Anime music.
This is a match against the challenger's rival. Let's hope we see some polished techniques in the battle against this long-time adversary.
Sure would suck if you accidentally threw your Pokeball into the gap between the circle and
Go,
the
Tyranitar!
That reminds me, I think it was either Jet or Solid JJ who essentially made a riff on how Bakugan works, where you better hope you don't misplace your piece,
Quit showing off.
otherwise the game can't even start.
Part of his strategy is using Safeguard to protect himself from status effects.
Wow, rock launch! Bam! That worked perfectly!
Bye. Well, it's a double super effective. There's rock and flying, so fire and flying. Sorry. Ah, that's impossible.
Yeah, how did you do that? You had the game.
Debs, didn't you listen to what Earl taught us in class? If a Pokemon, if a move is super effective against both Pokemon types, it quadruples the damage.
I was too busy trying to plot my escape out of that school.
You see, you're the problem with the British educational system.
You really thought it was simple. You've got like SATs and all these other numbers to
Thanks, Reagan.
Yeah, as you can see, his moveset is not exactly great.
I don't know, you
Wait,
just
I
knocked
mean,
out
me,
your
yeah.
Tyranitar.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is, I mean,
famous last words. You know, this guy's moveset isn't that great.
well, yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing you're forgetting, Dibs. I still have 5 Pokemon against his 2, and one of this 2 is only down to only a half of his health.
You can use all 6. If I only have to use
Yeah.
6.
This battle, like, if you have a powerful team, you can pretty much brute force your way through this battle.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even get why they only have him use free Pokemon. I'm pretty sure Gary used 6 in the previous one.
Yeah, like I mean, the idea is, oh, we're going to do the like free powerful legendaries and shit like that, which is fine, I guess. But
Come on, 6 powerful legendaries is more climactic.
I agree.
And come on, you've literally got the dogs right there.
Yeah, true. They could have given him the legendary dogs. Thunder Punch.
Man, poor Raikou really can't have an awesome moment.
Alright, Sacred Fire.
Because they realized that Suicune and Entei are better.
And there you go.
Yeah, still, but give Raikou something. Poor guy is just that crap OVA to his name and, well, nothing else really.
And there you go. Now there's only Lugia left. Do it,
Can you
Lugia.
do it, Pedro? Can you take out that who you love the most, given how much reviews you'll be in this game?
Well, Lugia is one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemons, yes, but he's not my absolute favorite. Like,
What's your absolute favorite?
Mewtwo.
Wait, what?
My favorite Pokemon is Mewtwo.
I said Gen 2.
Gen 2. Good question. I guess Suicune?
It's Lugia, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Really?
I'm surprised when 4Kids had the rights to the anime. There wasn't an episode that they could call it's Ho-Oh.
Because Ho-Oh didn't appear in the show.
Yeah.
That was weird, honestly. Like, okay, like, I get it that according to lore, Lugia's kind of like the father of the legendary birds from Gen 1, but come on, surely you could have worked in Ho somehow.
No. That would make the Johto anime interesting.
When the dub started, there weren't nearly as many puns in the titles as it would get later on.
I will say this, though.
School of Hard Knocks.
I will say this, Master Quest was a great theme.
I prefer, I
First
prefer,
one.
well, not just the first one. I did like the first few, and I did like the first advanced theme.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was good.
Undefeatable was the last one. The first advanced
wanna
one
be
was
a
I want to
hero.
be a hero.
What'll it do? That was a clashing blows.
All right.
You know, am I the one who found it weird that the Power of One never did actually mention the lore that Lugia is supposed to be the dad of the 3 legendary birds?
Well, there's a
Kinda,
thing.
sorta did.
Well, in
That was the villain's plan.
in the Japanese version, they're called gods, and Lugia is the commanding god. So it's not. So it's not so much. So it's not so much that he's the father. It's more so that they're basically a group of gods, and Lugia is the boss, basically.
I'm talking about the lore from
Arceus
the
comes
games in that
down.
regard. Although, that being said, a lot of good he did as a commanding god, given how they don't listen to him,
Yeah.
like, at all.
Lugia's kind of a crap boss, yeah.
Wait, there's no audience. How's Ted Lewis doing the
Because again, there's Metabot's logic. Ted Lewis is always there. He's omniscient. What? What is it that I lack? Yeah, that's an actual line from when you. Well, that's one of his lines from when you beat him the last time, where he can't realize why he can't win despite training as hard as he can. But whatever. And there you go. That's Pokemon Stadium 2.
Ah yes, the Pichu.
And now we get the Pokemon rollout, where we show all the 252 Pokemon.
Is that the Pokerap? Eevee, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Espeon, Umbreon.
Here are the free Gen 1 starters at
That's
fully
right,
evolved.
you rendered them all, now you're going to appreciate all those renders.
Yep, basically. Whoa! These Pokemon are coming at you.
It's like Chunky
Crazy.
Kong in the DK rap.
Look how sorry you're gonna.
Oh man, a
Definitely
3D
going places.
Pokemon game. How mind blowing.
All right, Dweb's final thoughts on this duology, please.
It looks fun enough. I do kind of prefer the mainline games where you can both move around the field and battle as opposed to just battle.
Sure.
But I mean, I think isn't the first game on the virtual console?
But no, these two games were not released up until recently on the Switch Online. Both of them are on the Switch
Well, they're not
Online.
out yet, but they'll probably be by the time
I mean,
this
there will
gets
be.
uploaded.
Yeah, I mean, there will be soon.
Yeah.
So that's when I'll be possibly checking them out for myself. Even though you can't put your own game in it because
Yeah, that's the problem.
there is no Game Boy Nintendo.
See, the thing you have to remember, Dwebs, is that this was intended to be like a way to expand upon your your Game Boy experience by trying to create super special, awesome EV trained teams, so you can take on all the hard opponents they have in this game, basically.
Who's throwing these Pokemon around to get this shot?
So
The-
good.
Again, Dwebs, we rendered all these Pokemon in 3D and we animated them very well, so you will appreciate it, goddammit.
I mean, these Pokemon get the courtesy of least having to get into pose standing still. A lot of them are just thrown in there from like a bucket onto the screen.
Hey, look, a group of fire Pokemon.
Are you sure? Okay, yeah. It reminds me of that bit in the where they called one of the Officer Jennies ordered her Arcanine to fire on Team Rocket's balloon, even though she only just saw it and didn't have any proof they were doing anything wrong. And I'm pretty sure she gave the Pokemon the wrong name, because I don't think that was an Arcanine.
Indeed. All right. Go and carry on, those, please.
Really, that's about it. Looks alright. Not exactly my cup of tea, but I'll probably will still check it out when it comes out on the Switch.
All right, Dej.
It's very fascinating to see an ambitious title, because wow, the novelty of seeing Pokemon in 3D was mind blowing back in.
Oh, I was.
What year did this come out?
1997. Or like that. No, never mind. I think the first game came out in 1999, if I remember correctly. The second game in 2000.
Let me look it up.
Yeah. So, and it was just a cool thing. Look at all these animations, and it gave everyone
Okay.
Man, wouldn't it be cool if we got a 3D Pokemon game?
Let me put it like this. It came out in 1999 in Japan, came out pretty much the rest of the world in 2000.
All right. Go on.
That's it for me.
I was talking to
I'm
Dej,
pretty sure
actually.
Dej was the one doing it.
Yeah,
Go-
that's it from me. That's my Digistock puppet.
Go on, Dej. Anything else?
But yeah, I do respect the effort. These games look too needlessly hard, though, for their own good.
Well, to be fair, being hard is kind of the whole point, to incentivize you to get better at the Game Boy games that they connect to.
Like, they're more or less 3D versions of the Game Boy games anyway. Like, the gameplay loop is more or less the same, save for a few odd mechanics that they threw in.
Because when you go back to the original Gen 1 and Gen 2 games, not the remakes, the originals, the campaigns themselves don't really force you to really develop super strong teams, not really. As many people demonstrated, you can easily beat those games with just one strong Pokemon if you know what you're doing. However, these games are definitely games that were definitely made for the hardcore experts who know how to build super strong teams, and this is basically a test of skill, basically. So that's kind of the whole point, I will argue, Edge.
Yeah.
Alright, you done?
Yeah.
Jova.
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable game and experience, especially...
Oh, there they are, Jova. There they
came
are.
out. Oh, hey, yeah, the legendary dogs. You didn't show up on this playthrough.
Also, the strongest Pokemon.
Celebi, yes, the strongest Pokemon in all of his existence, as Dan Green put it.
Mm-hmm. And this means we're gonna, just like the first game, we're gonna get a new title screen in a moment. But first, there you go. Director Takashi Mizu. There you go. Go on, Jova, continue.
But yeah, no, remarkable game, good sequel to the first Pokemon Stadium game. Since remember, this is technically Pokemon Stadium 2 we've been playing, but
look at that.
Said it's the duology as a whole.
Misty versus Whitney. We also had Faulkner versus God, what's the name? The grass trainer. I forgot her name.
Erica.
Erica. That's it. And Surge versus Morty.
Nobody said anything.
What?
Even though you were thinking it first, Edge.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Dutch.
Good. Good.
Yeah, let's not, okay? Anyway, back to my thoughts. Oh, yeah. Oh, snap.
Rock.
Of course.
Yeah.
Rock versus...
Yeah.
Rock
versus Sky. Honestly, that's pretty cool. You know, Onyx versus his future evolution. Anyone else remember that Brock actually evolved his Onyx into a Steelix as well? But yeah, Brock versus Jasmine. Neat. Anyway, though, my thoughts. Yeah, no, this is a good evolution on the whole, no pun intended. Fun game. It more or less uses the original game as a base. Again, save for some kind of weird mechanics that they threw in, but it's nothing too egregious that you can't get the hang of it. Like, no, it's a good free adventure.
Of course. Will versus Sabrina, of course.
Money's on Sabrina for that one. But yeah, no, I enjoy it. I think the only thing I would have improved maybe is the narrative. Like, and I get it, you know, it's kind of like, you know, a shorter, abridged campaign version, but I do wish that some of these maybe had a bit more of a fleshed out story. That being said, if you were to take this in the idea that this takes place after, of course, father versus daughter, if you were to take this into the context that it is the game taking place, say, after the original games, then it could be interesting, given how Claire's not a sore loser crybaby in this game, unlike how she was in the original Gen 2, so possible character development, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Ted Lewis is a delight to listen to as the announcer in this game.
That reminds me. But finish your thoughts, because I actually forgot to ask earlier. Oh, there you go, Chuck versus Bruno.
But yeah, no, otherwise, it's a very enjoyable experience, and I'm looking forward to when this gets re-released this year, actually, in 2023.
Yeah, about time. You done?
Yep.
Alright, give me just a moment here, because I actually forgot to ask. Dej, what do you think of Ted Lewis as and the various announcing that he does in the matches?
Well, he's been great, of course.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Dibs as well, but he's burped. But yeah, Ted Lewis is a treasure in this game. Ted, what do you think of the games?
It's alright. They do the job that they're supposed to, you know.
There it is.
Some of the animations are better than others. I'm not particularly a fan of stuff like Crobat's design in this. For some reason they gave it an underbite, and I don't understand why. It's cool also that they gave particular animations to the moves. So again, for the time it was made, this was like super impressive and everything. But yeah, you can argue it lacks a bit of content. It's just simply there to be a test. It's cool that Stadium 2 actually improves on that front. No, I did mention how instead I think Team Rocket was a bit misplaced. I think they should have been better placed, you know, after the 8th gym, but before the 8th floor. I think it was a bit better there.
Look at that anime reference.
Yep.
No, you want to know what my real problem with this is? I think I mentioned sporadically throughout it. The music, like it's inconsistent, incredibly inconsistent, and a lot of remixes just don't really fit. And some of these things, including this very creative music that we're listening, it's a jumbled mess if I had to ask me. I'm sorry, but I think these composers just need to stick to Zelda. Thank you.
Well, this was their first gig before they did Zelda.
Honestly, I think the soundtrack's pretty good.
Well, actually, that's Wakai already worked on Ocarina of Time before he worked on these. Anyway, Pokemon Present. You get a Farfetch that can use Baton Pass. Because normally Farfetch can't learn this move, but what a weird random reward.
Wow, it's useless.
It's like that meme from Gravity Falls. Wow, this thing is useless.
Alright.
Anything else, Tio, or is that pretty much it?
And look at that, new title screen.
It's pretty much it. Again, these games are fine. It's cool that people will be able to play them even if they're not in full capacity these days, you know. But I think they could have been better, you know, and frankly, you know, they're just worth that much of a look. Just for some stuff like goofiness, like the Academy, or some of the mini games, but that's pretty much it. Like that, okay, you didn't mention about the announcer. That DLC is fine, but I'm glad actually there's an option to turn it off, because I get the idea that it would get if I had to play dedicatedly this game, it would get a bit annoying to me very quickly. So there is that.
Like Deji would say, how dare you?
But then again, I don't even have the problem in the first place, because as I did mention, my country did localize the voice acting for that, and it's embarrassing to say what they did for the translation, because the team that they did clearly was not in synchron with the team that translated the main Game Boy games. So there's a lot of mispronunciation and, you know, mistranslation of moves that were already translated. So really, it's best if I just stick to non-voice at all.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
Yeah. Like I said, like you have to understand that back in the day, before the internet, this was one of the best ways to get more out of your Pokemon Game Boy games. Not to mention, like I said, Earl's Pokemon Academy was at the time Dweb's question before I move on with my final thoughts.
Yes.
Your thoughts on Ted Lewis as
Ted Lewis is the best part of the games because I could imagine the guy. Well, obviously it's his job. I could imagine how long he was in there doing each individual line, but he does pull it off with a lot of enthusiasm and aplomb.
Oh yeah,
That's what happens when you're the only voice actor in a game.
Although it's interesting because I've looked ahead and the GameCube games, or at least one of them, has the usual narrator of the anime, Roger Parsons, doing the announcing.
That's a nice touch.
To me, that's just to me. Like it would be like if to me, I still want I would love for Ted Lewis to have more of a regular announcing role in Pokemon games. Think about this. Wouldn't it be so cool? Again, like I said, like Taylor said, obviously you would have an option to turn it off if you don't like it. But I still think it would have been really cool because it would make the games more lively, in my opinion, to have Ted Lewis announce. I would like to see Ted Lewis say a lot of the new moves, a lot of the new Pokemon in the same ghost what he does here. It would have been a really cool thing to do, in my opinion. But
So kind of like what Fossil Fighters does, minus the voice acting, of course.
yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good comparison, actually, yeah. This is kind of like that, and I feel like there's a lot of good potential, especially because even after the 4Kids split thing, Ted Lewis still came back to voice a couple roles here and there occasionally for Pokemon, so he's very familiar with the franchise at this point. So I feel like he would be a really good, cool idea. Remember, he still voices Giovanni to this day, doesn't he, Lips?
Yeah. There was that little gap when he didn't, but then that gap was vacant again, and then he came back.
All right,
Has
so
Giovanni appeared in anything recently that requires Ted Lewis to voice him?
Yeah.
they occasionally have those YouTube animations that they put on the official channel, I think.
But those aren't to do with the main anime, and when that's the case, they just get different voice actors.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. The basic point.
It's when Team Rocket appears with Giovanni. That's
All right. The basic point is, I love Ted Lewis in this game, and honestly, I would have loved if, for whatever reason, they brought him back for one of the. Again, I feel like it would have made the battles in games more lively and entertaining, in my opinion. And like I said, obviously, just like with these games, you still should have an option to turn it off in case people don't want to hear it. If you do that, everybody's happy. So, yeah. No, but like I said, you have to understand that back in the day, this was a really cool way of getting more out of your Game Boy games. And like I said, Earl's Pokemon Academy, yeah, that was incredibly useful back in the 90s because with no internet, there was no way for me to consult Bulbapedia to check how the ins and outs of Pokemon mechanics work. So obviously, Earl's Pokemon Academy was an incredibly useful thing to have in Stadium 2.
I'm actually curious, did your country, how much was your country's marketing for magazines that instead helped on that?
We had magazines too. But I'm not entirely certain if there was any official Pokemon guides that explain this stuff.
We did have a shitload.
We had a ton of those.
I don't know if they were officials or not.
Well,
but they went in great detail to mention which Pokemon to use for each move.
Well, I've never saw any back in my day. Even so, but even if there were to, I will argue this is a much more entertaining way of learning than just reading a guide. To be honest with you, because not only do you read his lectures, you also get tests, and you even get to do actual practical Pokemon tests, like with the actual. So I will argue this is a more efficient and more entertaining way of teaching the player. I will argue than just reading a guide. So yeah, and like I said. The developers did a good job with animating these Pokemon because the Pokemon display so much personality thanks to their animations. So yeah, it's a specific group of Pokemon games that now doesn't really get talked about much. which is in my opinion a shame, because if you actually look at their context of their release and their use, it was actually a really cool thing for the day. But yeah,
I wouldn't say that they fell by the wayside. I'd say enough people talked about them, and the fact that they're getting re-released definitely does show that Nintendo see it that they have enough of an audience to bring it back. Just more than can be said for Zero.
Either that, or maybe, or also because, well, that, Jova, and they also need content to put on Switch Online to keep people subscribed. That also helps, of course.
Yes. But I digress. Pokemon Stadium's definitely getting more attention from the folks than F-Zero is, so trust me, treasure that.
Alright, so that was the Pokemon Stadium duology, everybody. We're not going to go straight into Pokemon Coliseum for now. We'll do some, we're going to go back to Mario. But tune in for when we eventually get to Pokemon Coliseum. Because Pokemon Coliseum basically drops the ball on the stadium part of the aspect, but much to Jova's delight, I'm sure, more than makes up for it by including a full-blown story mode. So...
Well, and hey, of course it drops the stadium bit. It's a Coliseum now.
I get that, but it was kind of also marketed as kind of doing the same thing by, connecting to the Ruby and Sapphire to do things, and yet it doesn't have nearly as many features, but whatever. We'll talk about that later. See you, everybody.
Yeah.
See ya.